So that's what I took from that.
Yeah, those are all great ideas. And creativity, when you're creative, like you can solve problems, you can think of ways to be a better person in its own. So I think this quote is really resonates with me very very much. So without stopping too much, I would like you to make sure that you guys know the objectives for today, what we're going to be doing. So first of all, I'm going to do a quick introduction to Seesaw. I don't know how many of you have used Seesaw before or have seen it, but it's a great tool for having a digital portfolio. We're going to look at everyone can create books and kind of a little bit dive into them and better understand how they work, the structure. We're actually going to do a project book that you will be creating. You're not going to listen to me speak for an hour. You will be creating things. And we're going to think about how we can integrate those ideas. So how can we take what we're going to learn today as well, and then later on implement in our classroom or whatever we are in our workplace, because obviously we're not just all educators or in a classroom setting. And then we're going to have some time for Q&A and share our work that we created today. So I hope that sounds good with everybody. So without further ado, we're going to start with introduction to Seesaw. Now I asked everybody to download the app, and if you could, if you haven't done that yet, Mia, if you could put the app link again in the chat so that people have that. So what I'm going to ask you to do is download the app or have it already downloaded, and then I'm going to guide you through how we're going to sign in. Today, you're going to be students. You're not going to be creating a teacher account. You're going to be a student in my classroom. So I'm going to move to my iPad, and also there's a class code, but we'll display it in a second. It's also in a chat. Thank you, Mia. So I am going to go to my iPad, and I'm going to go to Class Seesaw app. I have this little pointer, and I'm actually right now in the teacher account, so I'm going to sign out. And what I would like you to do is click on I am a student. So go ahead and click on I'm a student. And then it's going to ask you for a text code. Do not put the text code that's in the chat. We're actually going to sign in with our email. So the text code part is for when students are sharing iPads, when they don't have like email addresses. So it's just a faster way to sign in. But we're actually going to use our Google email. So we're going to put that. And then you can sign in with Google, or you can sign in with your account. So it's going to ask you, do you want to sign in? Yes. And I'm going to sign in with this account. Now this is where it's asking you for the join code. And again, it's in the chat. The join code is in the chat. Or if you don't have the chat open, I can tell you it's GS DW or DV, sorry, PMNB. Now, please know this is my first like online PD, so bear with me if I do something incorrect or go too slow or too fast. Just please understand that I'm learning as much as everybody is right now. Once you put in, go ahead, click. It says, congratulations, you've successfully joined the classroom. You don't have notification through. So I'm going to give you about a minute to do so. Let's see if you need any help, you can put it in the chat. The app is called Seesaw again for somebody who can't get on. Okay. So as we're getting a few less people on on here. So this is actually the student view. I'm also signed in right now as a student. And when your students log in, they can see, their icons on the right. If they have a picture on their Google account, they'll see their little picture next to it. If they don't, it'll automatically come up with some animal or a color. So Seesaw is basically an online portfolio, digital portfolio that keeps all students' work in one place. That way, it's not all over the place and they can just go to here and upload a lot of different things. Now, here are some of the things that you can do. If I click on the big green plus sign, Seesaw allows you to add photos. Photos actually is a camera, so it all just opens a camera on your iPad. It allows you to do drawings, video, upload things from your iPad or your device. Seesaw works on a phone, an iPad, online as well. It works as a website. You can add a note, which is like typing, or you can even add links. So it's a great resource for students and teachers to use. Now I know sometimes it's hard to like implement a brand new thing to students at this point of the year, especially with so many other challenges that are going through it. But maybe this is a tool that you could use, next school year, or practice it and get familiar with it. Because I really love it on the iPad. It's really, really good, and it works really well with it. I use it with as little as second graders, but I know teachers use it with kindergartners. Eighth graders like using it too, so it's not it's app for everybody. So right now, as we logged in, we're going to just leave it. We just logged in, figured out what it is. We're going to use it a little bit later today. So what I would like you to do is, let me go back to my keynote. We're going to do something so that we're not just sitting there and listening to me talk. So what I would like you to do is take that object that you were asked to have near you right now, and then everybody, maybe you can show your object to the camera. Shell, a bowl, lots of different. A plant, great. I have another. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is we are going to open the camera app on our iPad or whatever device you're on. So I'm going to open it with you. I'm going to demonstrate this with you. And I'm going to go to camera. And I'm going to start taking pictures of my object. Now, when you take, pardon me, I have cables here connecting everything. When you take pictures, think about like zooming in, zooming out, looking at different angles, tilting your iPad, maybe adding more light in your room, maybe trying landscape or portrait, whichever way. So I'm going to take a few pictures and I would like to do the same. Okay. A few more seconds. They don't have to be perfect. Okay, so thumbs up maybe if you were able to take a picture. Wonderful. A few more seconds.
You can also let us know in the chat by just saying picture taken or clicking the green yes thumbs up check mark in the chat function.
That way we would know if you're done with it. We're going to work with that picture in a little bit. Now, if you took one that you didn't like, you want to retake it later, that's okay. Okay. So, what I'm going to introduce to you today is everyone can create a curriculum that's made by Apple. Now, there are actually 6 books. You can see 5 on the screen, but actually 6 books. The blue books are student books. So the blue books are books that students could download, or anybody can download, and it gives like a pretty much like a curriculum for them to use. The white book, the teacher guide everyone could create, is a teacher guide, which is actually composed of 4 books. So it has all 4 of those in that one with additional teacher directions. There's an additional book that's not listed here, and it's Everyone Can Create Learners Teacher Guide, and that book is more for like kindergarten through 5th grade students, 4th grade. But again, I've used that book with like 8th graders too. So it depends of where your students are and what background do they have. Not all of these books are free. You can get them from the bookstore, we are going to look at them today. Actually, we're going to look at the teacher guide on the iPad. Now, if you have downloaded it already, that's great. You can open it. If you have not, I'm going to go through with it on my iPad. So I'm going to go to the books. Now, what's really cool about these is they're interactive books. So you don't just swipe through them. There's different parts that you can touch, that you can see project examples. But how do you navigate this? So once you open it, if you tap anywhere, on the top, there are 3 dots and 3 lines. If you tap on that, that will show you your overview of the book. And kind of gives you a table of contents of your book. And then the dots on the bottom, they actually, if you tap on the little dots, you'll be able to skip through different chapters of the book. So if I tap, the first chapter is drawing, photos, which we're going to do today, video, music, and additional resources. Now, it can be a little overwhelming to look at this, like there's so much stuff in here, like what do you choose to do? So I think I like starting with photo because I think everybody knows how to use pictures and how to like take pictures. But if you don't know, this book actually teaches students skills of taking a picture. So there, each of the chapters like photo, drawing, video, music, is divided into sections, and these are sort of projects or skills and projects within that book. So students learn about, how do you take a good photo with the right light, and then how to incorporate that into a project that they're going to do, and it gives you project examples. So for example, if I go into let me go to drawing. If I go to drawing and I tap on it, here is a word art, and then it gives students a project, or a teacher project to give to students, and students actually have the same thing in their books, in the blue books. It's just theirs is a lot more detailed, so they have a lot more steps through it to kind of break it down for them. But this example is create expressive word art, and then if you tap on the iPad, it makes this bigger, and then if you swipe, you can see different project examples. Now, my students in my classrooms, they like to see what projects should look like. They want to see like an example of what it's going to look like. What do you want me to do? Like, what does this need to look like? So I make sure that, I give them some ideas, but I also give them freedom to obviously make their own. Now, these are, again, just ideas and different things that you can give your students. Now let me go to the photo.
Oh, hey, Kasia. Sorry to interrupt, but just wanted to let you know, Sarita asked a good question. I know you have a part of your presentation later, but you just want to address, she asked if her students don't have access to products, and they can't participate in this activity.
Sorry, you broke up again for a second. Let's doesn't have Apple products. Does that mean they can't participate in this activity? No, and I'm gonna get to that actually. So there are integrations. These are just like ideas. Think of these books are like, this is not like curriculum you have to follow exactly. These are just like ideas. And we're gonna talk about different ways of being able to incorporate it if you don't have iPads, if you don't have Apple technology at school. Obviously this is for Apple, but there is different ways of doing this without the products. So I hope that answered your question. So with these books, there are chapters like I explained. And today we're actually going to do a project from the photos book. Now, how can I find the photos? I'm going to tap on the little dots on the bottom, and we're going to do everyday objects project. So if you can click on that, if you have it open, or you can just look at mine on my screen. And today what I'm going to ask you is, we're going to use a feature on the phone or on iPad, and it's called markup. Have you heard of markup? It's called when you mark up photos. You can mark up photos on the iPad or on the phone, and it actually brings photos or other objects to life. The markup feature, sorry, allows you to draw facial features, write text, other elements, help the photos tell imaginary stories. You can find this project on page 44 in the book, or you can find it in a student book on page 8. So I'm going to do a live demo right now of how we use markup and how we can integrate this. So let's go to my photos. Now actually I'm gonna go, so I'd used the camera before to take that photo, but I'm gonna go to photos. You're gonna see some of my personal photos, so don't mind my pretty cute little son over there. So we took some pictures. I took some stapler pictures. So what I'm gonna do is pick one I would like to use. I'm gonna click on them. I think I like this one. And once I have this picture selected, and you guys will have time to do this. If you just want to follow right now what I'm doing, that's totally fine. If you want to do it as I'm doing it, that's great too. So I can tap anywhere on the picture, and then all these other options are going to pop up. I'm going to go to Edit on the top right corner. And we're not going to play with any of the brightness or color features, but we are going to go to More, and More is where the circle is with the 3 dots on top. And then I'm going to click on Markup. We can turn off live. Now again, our project today is to bring everyday objects to life. So I'm going to turn this stapler into a person. So what can I do? On the bottom, there are different tools. Use a pencil, a marker, a pen, eraser, a lasso tool that you can select and copy and paste, a ruler, and different colors. So right away, I am going to tap on, let's see, I'm going to tap on the pen. And the little slider thing is opacity, so how see-through my color is going to be. And then I can pick thicknesses. And I'm going to actually change the color. I don't want it to be yellow. I'm going to tap on black. If I tap on bigger section of color, so I can use whatever color I want. But I'm going to stick with black for this part. And I'm going to zoom in. I use 2 fingers to zoom in so that I'm a little closer. Now in the book, it's great if you have an Apple Pencil. I mean, we don't have Apple Pencils at my school. So I use with my students, like I used my teacher money to buy like the stylus pens that are for $7 for like 30 of them. Or you can use your finger, whatever works. Now, I'm not the best drawer, but I'm trying. And then I'm going to draw a mouth. So make sure you have started on your photo. Oops, that's too big. I'm going to go back. I'm going to click and make it smaller. You can add layers to it by drawing on top of it. And then I'm going to draw hands. Now, what's really cool too is you can add text. So if I click on the plus sign, I can add text. I can add different shapes. I can use a magnifier. I can add a signature. I'm going to, for this portion, I'm going to do a bubble. I'm going to make him actually say something. I'm going to click on it. And this bubble came up. Now, let's say I don't want it to be yellow and I want it to be white. I'm going to add the color I want. And then I'm going to fill it up. And move it. Now, how do I move the bubble so it's actually turned to the right? I'm going to go ahead, put the little pull on the green dot, and then let's say I want to add text. So again, I go to plus, text. It's in the middle right now. I'm gonna drag it with my finger. I'm gonna edit it by double tapping or clicking edit. Now, let's say this doesn't fit in your bubble, and you want to be able to. You want to be able to move this so it fits. Hungry. So there's a few different things you can do. You can go to the A's on the bottom, and you can actually change the font size, how big it is. You can go and change different font type. So I'm going to pick that. I'm going to put it here. And this is not the most beautiful drawing, but it works. So when I'm finished, I'm going to click done. Now, if you could, and then I'm going to click done again. Now, if you could let us know in the chat window when you finish yours, I'm going to explain what we're going to do with them. So all you need to do is write in the chat done when you're ready. Now this is a first project in this book as where everybody's finishing. This is the first project in this book, so it kind of gets a little bit more, not difficult, but well, maybe difficult, and it adds different skills for students so that they usually use what they learned before into the next chapter.
Hey, Kasia.
Yes.
Michelle said that she's done. And Michelle, not to put you on the spot, would you like to share what you have while other people are finishing?
We're actually going to, sure, we're going to post them, but you can share it too. So that's great.
I'm jumping ahead. Very
So what we're actually going to do, almost every few more people, I'm actually going to post them on CECSE, or we are learning how to incorporate this tool as well. So how do we sign in to CECSE? How do we upload this to CECSE? So you can go to Seesaw and click add and photo. That's one way, but I think of a faster way of doing this is if you click on the box with the arrow going out on the top. So once you have your picture and you see that box, you can click on it. And if you see all the apps below, there's apps below that you can upload to. Now, if you don't see Seesaw, you might need to click more, and then you will see Seesaw. You might need to use the little slider to allow it. So if you don't see Seesaw, you need to click on more, and then you'll see it. I'm going to click on Seesaw. And it automatically knows, because you logged into Seesaw earlier, it automatically knows it's you. So all you do is check it. And it's uploaded. Now, if you're using this with students, you may be wondering, well, what if they're uploading inappropriate things? Or I want to be able to check what they're doing. So actually, I have it set right now in our class that you can't see anybody's posts. This is one from previous that we were practicing. So you can't see one from what they uploaded. So I'm going to go back into my teacher account and approve you. I have 7 posts. I'm going to review. Now, what I would like you to do right now is we are going to actually share and comment on Seesaw. So what I would like you to do is look through everybody's post that I'm approving right now. And I would like you to leave a comment on 2 other projects. Approve. It's approving them right now. Approve you. Okay, so you should be able to, on the right side, you should be able to click on somebody's name and then look at their project that they did, their work. If it's not working, you might need to scroll it down, and then you'll see the little spiral wheel uploading. So what I do with students when I ask them to do this, I make sure that I give them sentence starters, like I like how something looks, or I wonder, so like teachers will do in other comments and other projects that they're doing. I like to make sure that they know so it doesn't just say A, something inappropriate, or B, something that you wouldn't want a student to see. And then you actually get to review the post. You can review other comments. So before they get posted, as a teacher, you get to approve the comments.
Hey, Kasia, we got a great question in the chat. Someone asked, can students print their creations for classroom display?
Can they print? Yes. Let me go one more time. Let me go to mine. It's like I'm getting the wheel. There we go. So if you click on the 3 dots on the bottom, actually these give a lot of different options. They can edit them. They can, share or save. They can also print them with a QR code. So actually you can print a QR code, and then they can take it home or whatever, and they can print it anywhere they want. They can save this QR code on their phone and scan it with something else later and be able to save that. You can also invite parents and families into here so that parents comment and see their work. They do not see other students' work, so they just see their child's work that their student completes, which is really nice because then it keeps you on track. They know what their kid is doing in the classroom. Let me review. Look at these projects. I did before features in here, so it can be like a lot to start and learn new app, but it's really really engaging, and kids love using it. As we're waiting for a few more people to post, in here, like I mentioned before, you can add all sorts of different things. So if you wanted to add the picture that you just took from your photos, all you would do is go to upload, and then you would click on photos, and it would find it from your photos. They can do drawings, so they can do drawings in here, and it gives them a lot of different features, like adding different backgrounds. Like my students love using this app and integrating it with whatever we're doing in the classroom. So let's see, did everybody, if you had a chance to comment on somebody's post, if you can maybe click write done in the chat.
Yeah, so we have someone ask, oh, people are saying that they're done. Someone asked if you added movable elements, does that show up after you save it?
What do you mean by add movable
QR
elements?
Code. Yeah, Michelle, do you wanna, you can hop off mute and expand more on what you mean by movable elements.
I was wondering, like, if there's, so I was wondering what the point of the QR code was, basically. Like, is that so that you could watch a video later that the student had uploaded and created, or like stop motion or something like that? I was kind of just wondering why there needed to be a QR code if you could just see the photo.
This is just if like you want to print it for them and take it home, if they don't log in at home with like data.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
more of that. Sure. So in my classes, the students don't have, they don't have devices, like we don't have one-on-one devices. So they'll log in with, actually won't log in with their email, but before where it says I'm a student, they log in with their code. So that tracks their work like that. So they can't really work on at home unless they're logged in as families, if that makes sense. Because the code changes every day.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So it actually changes every hour so that they can't, they can't go on at home if you don't want them to doing whatever you don't want them to. And I know that I can see Scott just shared on the chat that CPS approved CECSE as a tool that is allowed to be used. So I think that's a great thing to know. So thank you, Scott, for letting everybody know. I know they were working on it, but it's great that it got finally approved. So any other questions? If not, I'm gonna continue. We're done. Okay. Since you guys with your email, you'll be able to log into this classroom again. So you won't need a class code or anything. You can actually go to Seesaw and then log in again with your email, and it will automatically have this class saved. So you'll be able to see people's work through that. So let me go back to my keynote. Okay, so now we're going to think about how does what we just did, how can that be used, in other ways? So yes, taking a photo and putting it as giving it human qualities is great, but like what other integration ideas can we use this with? And in each book, I was showing when I was going through the book, in each chapter, actually after each project, it gives you ideas of how this feature, this tool can be integrated within different content areas. So think about what we just did. This can be used, let's say in a math class, they can take a picture of a function and maybe on markup, draw another one that they think of, or maybe you write text and explain what it means. They can take pictures of vocabulary words and draw what they mean and add on to them. In social studies and history, they can look at past events and maybe explain how that relates to our everyday life. There's so many different ways and so many different ideas. Now you don't have to go exactly what it says in a book. You can come up with your own. Again, these are just ideas just to help teachers come up with their own. You can make your own challenge and choose a familiar object. and imagine what it would say or do if it was a lie, what the challenge is in the book, but then making it your own. So there's just so much that you can do with these, and all of these integration ideas go through all the skills that the book shows. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in chat. And we're going to actually have some time in a few minutes to think about how you could use this in your classroom or wherever you're working. So also, I know the question earlier is, can we do this if the students don't have iPads at home? There are unplugged and modified things that you can do with these activities. Now, for what we did today, you know, you can use a camera on a phone and do the exact same thing if they have an iPhone. If they don't have an iPhone, I don't know what the options are on Android phone if you can use markup, but you can, you know, go and take a picture and upload it to Google Draw. And in Google Draw, you can annotate and draw on that picture. So if we're using, as CPS uses, you know, Google platform, you can use that as a substitute. You know, if your students don't have any technology at home, you can use paper and pencil, you know, find an object, draw it, and then add human qualities to that object. There's just so many different things you can do with this. So what I would like to do right now is I would like you guys to think about how you can implement this challenge in what you're doing. I would like you to think about how you can use this next week. Why would you use this? If you're not in a classroom setting, obviously none of us in the actual physical classroom, but if you're not in a school setting, how can you use this maybe in your personal life? If you're going on a walk, you know, with your kids, how can you use this? So what I would like you to do is put it in chat, maybe explain how you're going to use this, and I'm gonna have Mia ask you to come off mute and share your ideas as we're doing that. That sounds good. So again, if you could put it in the chat. Thank you.
So we have Marcia put in nature journaling. Marcia, do you want to expand on what you had in mind with that? And then we can pop to Michelle.
Yeah, sure. I'm thinking that we were, so at SHED, Michelle and I are both in the learning programs department, and we have different age students coming in. Some are from preschool to high school, but I'm thinking with the high schoolers, we could take them outside of SHED or inside of SHED. They could take photos, making observations. So you could do close-ups, and then they could also be recording on, you know, right on the photo what they saw, what they highlighted, so that when they came back as a group, after they've either gone outside and around and looked at things, plants or whatever they've chosen, they could bring it back and they to reflect upon, and they have their notes right there too.
Yeah, that's absolutely a great idea. I think photo walks and like online journaling are popular. I've seen so many teachers do that, and that's just so like right there, you know, you're doing it naturally, organically, like you're not forced, it's not being forced. Great idea.
Yeah, I was thinking that you could like have students look at animal adaptations. So you could post a picture of a photo and send it out to all of them. And they could like draw the habitat that it would be well adapted to in the background, or they could just like look at the animal body parts and like analyze how they're, what the different adaptations might be used for.
Even like labeling body parts, you know, or animal parts, like that's something kindergarten can do.
Yeah.
Hi, yeah, thank you. I think it's Najira. I'm sorry if I pronounced that name wrong. Garg, for the app on Sketchbook. I was able to upload a picture on using that app, using Seesaw. So that's definitely a great app to use if the kids have Androids instead of iPhones. But it's one way I can use this is probably a social emotional lesson, maybe having the kids take a picture of something that means something to them and describe it or describe how it feels, or draw a picture of how it makes them feel. So just being able to share their feelings through pictures. So that's one way I would probably use it.
Great. Especially now, like with social emotional, students don't get really the lessons that they do at school. So I think expressing themselves through photography is a great idea. Anybody else would like to share what they wrote in the chat?
Well, we've had someone mention that they teach engineering, and so they would have the students annotate their photos for their builds. And then with that, explain what each part is supposed to do, how it's supposed to function. So, but that's a pretty cool application as well.
And think of this is just like one, one project. Like there's so many different other projects that, again, take skills that, or take things around that students are familiar with, and then just making it creative and adding creativity to it. Anybody else? I think Kay Levy said something about using also Google Drawing. So again, and being able to modify this and use what you actually can use with your students, what your students have available, is a great idea. Okay. Any other questions? I think these are all great ideas that everybody has. So I would really, really, really like you to actually try doing this with your students, or with whatever setting you're in next week. I think trying it out actually and applying it is where it's like so meaningful, versus just like us sitting in here doing our workshop. So whether it's just your personal life, with your kids at home or with your family, I think that will be really really a great way of implementing what we're learning here. Anybody else? Somebody still adding thing to the chat?
Yeah, Polly, do you want to let people know what you just shared in the chat?
I'll be teaching a 3D printing and design long distance this summer, so it's going to be a little challenging. But I think students are really creative, and I'd like to experiment with uploading those designs from Tinkercad or one of the 3D programs, and see if they can kind of annotate or create characters, etc., to explain their designs. So it's more architectural, and it'll be, I guess I'm teaching 3rd through 5th graders this summer, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big challenge, but it's something that you're supposed to be doing like physically, and now you're going to do this online. So I mean, good luck with everything. I think that's amazing that you're being able to adjust to that and being able to do it online. That's great. So I would like us to as a final step, if you have any other questions or anything that we'd like to ask you, and ask in the chat, and I would love to answer your questions. What I would love for you to do is share what you're creating with your students. Now, if you're comfortable and if you're using any of the social media, I use Twitter just for teaching stuff. And I think it's a great tool to actually learn from other educators too. And these two hashtags everyone can create is actually, if you just put it in a search box and look for post them. So I think it's such a, like, it's better than Pinterest for, you know, for that type of stuff. And then we actually get this hashtag CPS create for our community here that we're going to be using for the next, you know, the course of the weeks that we're going to be meeting. So I'm going to actually post this right now onto my Twitter. And if you do not use Twitter, you know, this is going to be a little info session of how to do it. It'll be really quick. So I'm going to take my picture. And take my picture that I took, and where it is. Okay, and I can go to Twitter, or I can go to add, and then I can go to Twitter right here, and then I can type my, this stapler is hungry for knowledge. And then I'm going to use a hashtag, and I'm going to write everyone, and then capital can create. And do you see how it already pops up? So you can just tap on it. And I'm going to add one more. CPS, capital letters, create. And actually, this is like our own hashtag. Nobody has used that before. So whatever you upload with that hashtag will be just our group, unless somebody else thinks of this hashtag as well. And then I'm going to.
Kasia, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Before you
go ahead.
Tweet, can you also add the center's handle? It's CECS education. I just put it in the chat for everyone else to see as well.
Is it education with a capital E? There it is. Now, if you have not used Twitter before, it's 140 characters long. So you got to be kind of, you know, smart with how much you're putting on there. And then I'm going to tweet. Okay, and then it will go into the feed. You can do it this way, or you can go through Twitter. And if you can, whatever medium you use for social, you know, media, if you feel comfortable, of course, we're not forcing you to do anything, but if you feel comfortable posting it, it will be great to see everybody's ideas. So if I go to Twitter, let's see, if has anybody posted it in? If you did it, if you feel comfortable with it.